Good morning, everyone. Here we are in Miami at the $100 million mastermind. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. I'm trying to, there we go. See what's going on. Thumbs up, everybody, if you can hear me. Welcome. Nick, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. There he is. Good morning. We are ready to go. Let's get these questions rolling. No one's giving me a thumbs up, but I assume they can hear me. Yep, Colleen did. Here we go. How do you pick your mentors? Well, number one, I believe in having 3 mentors minimum at all times. Someone who sits in the situation that I want to be in. And so I'm looking for the person who best is aligned with where I want to be and ask them for directions on how to get there. So that's how I do it. Don't forget, we have training here in about 3 hours from now. It's the Ferocious Buddha training. It's going to be awesome. Ferocious Buddha training. Enjoy. Where are you at today? I'm in Miami at the $100 million mastermind. So excited to be here downtown. Thank you so much. Matthew, he wants to know, has 100 grand, what should he invest in? Know your risk, your timing and risk tolerance, and then find opportunities from an expert that are aligned with your timing and your risk tolerance. So we're all there. Mikey, good to see you. Keep the questions coming, everyone. Don't forget trainings, Ferocious Buddha training. If you ever miss anything, you can always email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Free books, guides, exercises, david@dmeltzer.com. Or just check out the playbook. Download it. It's on every platform. Blessed to have one of the top podcasts called The Playbook. Download it, like it. All the trainings are there. What coach had the biggest impact on your life? I've seen that question before. One of my football coaches, who I hated, had the biggest impact, I think. Because coach, not mentor, is someone that brings the best out of you. And he was able to bring the best out of me, which made it unbelievable. So love that. Here we go. Can you talk about building a sturdy foundation so you can continue to build the stories on top of it? Can you talk about building a sturdy foundation so you can continue to build stories on top of it? Stories. I get it. Stories. Thank you. So utilizing our values and taking inventory of our values is the best way to build a foundation, because then everything that you build on top of it, the people, the ideas, activity you get paid for, are all aligned with that foundation. And so you can keep building and you'll get exponential growth because everything's so sturdy. You won't have to rebuild. You won't have to, stop building and readjust different floors. So always take inventory of your values, have clarity, balance, and focus. That's what creates the foundation that you want. Will you be willing to invest in another esports team? Always open to looking at anything in esports, so send it our way. Thank you so much. What led you to develop such a strong work ethic? My mom, right? I have a saying about parents. People don't listen to their parents, but they watch them. I didn't listen to my mom at all, but I watched her, and she has an extraordinary work ethic. Oh, Beam is here. Remember that. There, Beamer Williams, here we go. We will go live. Awesome. Hey, here we go. Just wait here, the incredible Beamer Williams. Oh, there he is. What's going on, man?
I'm good. I'm jealous of you being in Miami.
I know, man. Well, I'm a big fan of your podcast, The Claimant Stories. It's funny because my most expensive pair of tennis shoes or sneakers is my Travis Scott's. I got the Warren Moon editions.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
That was Travis was one of the last projects I worked on when I was over at Nike, so that's cool to hear.
That's awesome, man. Well, you have great stuff, great stories, great lessons. Stories are okay, but what makes your stuff so powerful are the lessons that you teach. And what's the difference is, if you don't know Bima, he doesn't have listeners, right? Because what he does, I can tell, is he creates a curiosity that he wants to know what people are listening for, not listening to. Mm-hmm. How do you determine that? Because like I said, I'm a big fan of your podcast. I know that you figured out what people are listening for. How best do you decipher what people are listening for?
Yeah, so I think it has to start from the origin of why we started it and what that need was, and it was that with our podcast, we're trying to solve this thing that has been missed, which is the fact that so many young people, black, brown, BIPOC, kids grow up without access or as far as like what is it for entrepreneur or knowing that people learn through storytelling, like we're doing. We were trying to figure out how can we weave those lessons into a podcast. And so that's what we've been actively trying to do. I say every week we try to get a little better at it, but that's what we've been trying to have guests that come from multiple backgrounds, try to share a different lens on, hey, like my story is actually strongly impacted by men. And if I didn't have, have David in my life, there's no way I would have.
Yeah, give me, and you break it up a tiny bit, so we work on that for a sec. But I would love for you to share one of your favorite stories. Since we have a podcast about stories, I'd love to hear and share. There we go. Can you share one of your favorite stories?
Yeah, totally. I would say one of my favorite stories actually about 2 weeks ago. I had Jeff Staple on. Jeff Staple's from New York, actually New Jersey, and he's famous for this sneaker called the Nike Dunk Pigeon, as well as he's a podcaster as well. But I think what I love about the story was he was initially trying to in design and just had an agency and was trying to figure out how to get his hands on Nike product back in like the early 2000s, and they had product they were importing from Japan, and he wanted to know how to get it. So literally, with the Fader magazine, booked the flight to Japan. He didn't have anything. He had a business card, and so he would move around from like shop to shop, just asking like, "Hey, who does this? Like, who works at Nike? Who can put me in touch?" He, like the story of a hustler that was trying to get. And next thing we know, like he was one and got put in connection.
That's awesome. I was, the podcast Brand Wars. I did the Nike versus Adidas Brand Wars episode and had so much fun with that. Why do you think people are so passionate about tennis shoes, though? I mean, you've worked in the industry so long. The stories, like I mean, think about it. We're not like passionate about our T-shirts or our hats. They're not trading them on StockX. Like, why is it the tennis shoe part?
It's the stories and how meaningful they've become. Like everyone has a different story about it. But me personally, for example, like my parents separated when I was 10, and I remember that year my dad bought me a pair of Jordan 11s. Right, those are the patent leather ones, and like Boyz II Men was wearing them and all of that.
I gotta tell you my story after this. You'll love it.
I want to hear it, and it creates these memories that they stick with you. And on top of that, sneakers, for the most part, sneakers look really good. So it's an item that you want to show off to your friends. And then there's that limited aspect, which is why everyone loves NFTs right now. And it's just something that if you can't afford, the new car, you can afford maybe a 100 pair of sneakers, and you can show it off to your friends and feel something to be proud of that represents you.
That's so true. My roommate, when I got out of law school, he was a Nike rep. And so I wear size 8.5 or 9. So I had the sample size.
Oh, yes.
So he gave me the very first pair of patent leathers, man. And I'm in Newark Airport, and I'm wearing them for the very first time. Because back then, you actually wore them. Right? and this guy, like 6'9", from New Jersey, he walked up to me. He's like, "Boy, where you get them dogs? Where you get them?" I was like, my friend works for Nike. He goes, "Give me those. I'll pay you any." I'm like, I literally went in the bathroom. I changed. I changed shoes. I put them in my bag. I put my dress shoes on because I thought someone was going to cut off my feet to take those shoes. I was so scared. I was like, you can't even wear these. Like, they're size 8.5. This guy probably wore an 18.5.
Yeah, there's no way he could get his feet in those things.
No, but he would have taken my feet and just walked around with them. Oh man, it's so good. So what are some of the other on the inspirational side? Because you have a very emotional podcast. It's so much fun to listen to. What are some of the things you're trying to inspire people with by the Claimant stories?
Yeah, totally. What we want to inspire is that if you grow up and you don't have access to mentorship, you don't necessarily have access to the network and all of the funding, what we're trying to do is open your eyes to what the possibilities are from a career standpoint. Because so, like my story was, I grew up and I wanted to work, my former life was as a marketer at Nike and at Adidas and these places. And I only knew retail. And so many of us only know like retail. And what we wanted to do was open those eyes and then also provide a network so that folks can actually go do this. They can actually go claim whatever their dream career is. I haven't had that linear path. You hadn't had a linear path, right? It doesn't happen that way. But if we're not out there hearing these stories, if we're not out there networking, we definitely don't have a shot. And so that's what we're really trying to encourage folks to do.
And you guys do such a good job. For you, last question real quick. Who is your mentor that helped you the most?
Oh my goodness. I would say I've done a great job at crowdsourcing mentors, honestly.
Nice.
I think I get a little piece of something from everyone. And I think also the other thing that I've done and taken on in my career is also mentorship from afar, right? Because sometimes it's through observation. And so I might see some of the stuff you might do, and I'm like, oh, we need to be thinking about this. I might not necessarily know all of the reasons why you're doing what you're doing, but at least gives me some insight as to, hey, maybe it's something I can try. But I would say one of the biggest mentors I would shout out would be this woman named Teresa Overby. And saw something in me when I was back in 2010 before I could figure out what to do with myself. And she introduced me into social media strategy. What helped me actually get my foot in the industry. So if it wasn't for someone seeing something in me and taking the time to coach me, there's no way I could be in this position today.
Oh, you're a mentor to me. I'm going to learn from you. I love that crowdsourcing of mentorship. You'll probably hear that again. You'll be like, oh, Dave Meltzer. I'm going to try to give you credit when I remember it, but we should crowdsource our mentorship from the past, present, and even the future.
Absolutely.
We should crowdsource our mentorship about what we're doing. And I have so many mentors, obviously, that aren't even alive that I've read repetitively their material, like Napoleon Hill or Dr. Wayne Dyer, people like that, and just listening to so many different things. If I was going to ask you from my favorite part about doing a podcast, especially if you are a lesson teacher like yourself, for your younger audience, what would be the most important thing for them to focus in on, since we're trying to get them to really be inspired their whole life, their whole journey to learn? But what's the thing that you would give them as advice if you're 12 to 18 years old?
The advice I would give is to get from behind the digital screen and get to networking. The network is the most important thing that you will have ever have. It's not a material thing, but it's having a relationship with David. Like, if I could have a relationship with David and I could talk to him about what's happening and how I can help him, and also what I need help with. But just that network, you got to talk to people, you got to meet people, and sometimes it doesn't always happen, on the phone.
Yeah, no, your network's your net worth, and 2 ways to network, by the way, everyone. You got to be kind, really simple thing to do, simple thing at least to execute on if you have the right mindset, and then ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and I'll be happy to help you, my friend, of course, and look forward to swapping podcasts and stories whenever you want. So let me know. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so totally. Make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, find us, Claim Us Stories, and then also you can find us on Instagram at Claim Us Stories as well. So definitely looking forward to folks tuning in. We got a big episode next week.
Absolutely, man. Great to see you. Come back again. Thanks for sharing this story. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care. Awesome. The Beamer Williams, great friend, great podcast. Check it out. Download it. Claim the story. You'll love it. We're moving and grooving right here. Matt Fraser's coming up next. I'll take a quick question before Matt comes on. And let me get a quick story here. Oh, what led you to develop such a strong work ethic? My mom. So that was good. Let me see here. Oops. Trying to get to more questions. Whoa, sorry. Shit. DJ, what's going on? Here we go. I'm fat fingering this. Here we go. Is worth buying Tesla stock? Once again, all these investment questions, tell me what your timing and risk tolerance is. You can't make an investment until you know your timing and risk tolerance. Then you need to find an expert that sits in that position and ask them for directions according to your timing and risk tolerance. And when you do that, you'll find you'll be ultra successful in whatever investments there is. Every investment has its own timing and its own risk tolerance. And there's ways to go about utilizing that to your advantage at all times. So there we go. Next one. What are your thoughts on getting in the flow? Well, the first thing about getting in the flow is know what comes through you with appreciation. So most people think that the flow is, to other people. It's not. It's connecting to the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, allowing it to come through you with gratitude, appreciation, adding value, forgiveness, peace, accountability, control, to inspire, in spirit, everything flowing through you, into you, through you, for others, with all of those qualities. So get into the flow, get inspired, in spirit, flow in there. Here we go. Keep it rolling. What's the most valuable thing you've learned recently? There are no problems if you find the solution. It's that simple. So many people focusing on the problem instead of just focusing on the solution. So there are no problems if you can find the solution. So please, let's all use each other to find the solutions. We got Meet Matt Frazier. Coming on here. I want to meet Matt Frazier. There's Matt Frazier.
Hey, David, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. It's great to be here with you.
I like that picture behind you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's from our TV show. Meet the Fraziers on Entertainment.
I know, man. It's amazing, and you're amazing, and I love your new book, When Heaven Calls. You got to explain to me what the book's about.
So this is the book right here. This book is all about my life, really how I understood that I was psychic and how I first began, my journey being afraid of this gift. Because literally I grew up, David, like the Sixth Sense. I was seeing and hearing spirits in my room at night. And
yeah, all right, we got to stop there. What was that like? Because I'm an empathetic. I've been trained as a quantum healer, so I can channel. I've done past life regressions, body scans, but it's not an innate skill where I was 6 years old and, stuff's working all around me. Was it terrifying or were you intrigued? How did you feel at that age?
Oh my God, it was so terrifying. When I was growing up, I was so afraid because I was seeing and hearing things that other people couldn't. And, the more that I tried to make the voices stop, the more that I tried to get away from the spirit world, the louder and stronger they became. And it's crazy because looking back on this now, I realized that, all they wanted was to just deliver a message. And I realized that they weren't ghosts, that literally they were just the family members of people who had passed on trying to use me as a way to reach their family and friends here in this world. So I wrote my book all about what I've learned from the other side, because I feel that we're all psychic in a way. We all have a direct connection to heaven and the afterlife and to our loved ones and spirit. It's all about learning about how we can develop our own gifts, how we can develop our own connection to heaven, and keep that conversation alive with our loved ones.
And how do we clear that interference? I'm a true believer that I'm already connected to a great source of light, love, and lessons where all of these souls exist, but yet I interfere with it with my own conscious or ego. How do we clear the way to receive this value? I call it download, these valuable downloads that we can either share with ourselves or others.
Well, the first step, David, is finding out how you're downloading, right? Because everybody has a psychic gift, but every single psychic and medium is different. We have medical intuitives that can tell when there's something medically wrong with you. We have master intuitives that can feel and sense things before they happen. We have life psychics who can predict the future. We have mediums who can communicate with the departed. And we all channel the same source. We all connect with the same, divine energy. But it's all about how we connect. Some people see things, some people feel things, some people hear things. So it's first recognizing your direct connection to the afterlife. And here's some of the ways, right? Is that, have you ever had a dream of a loved one, where your loved one came back and talked to you? Have you ever had a dream where all of a sudden you dreamt of something before it happened and then it did? That means that you're psychically in your dream. Have you ever had something happen while you were daydreaming, while you were still awake? It came to in your thoughts. You thought something was going to happen. You pushed it aside, and then it did. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was somebody getting married. Maybe it was something, a baby being born. And then the other way is through hearing. Have you ever felt that you heard something get told to you? You heard someone say, this one's going to get pregnant, this one's going to get married. You know, these are all the different ways that we're psychic. We just have to learn how to develop it, how to tap in. And like you said, clear out the interference, clear out your everyday thoughts, clear out the blocks in communication, and really just focus on that direct connection with spirit. And that's what I want to teach people. You know, I want to teach people that, you know, the conversation doesn't begin or end with the psychic medium. It begins with you, and it begins with you understanding your own gift and your own ability.
And do you think the spirits, that they can protect us or harm us?
They definitely can't harm you, but they can protect us and they can warn us over certain things. You know, because here's the thing, and just to talk about that really quick, is that a lot of people first ask me, well, Matt, what about negative spirits? What about, you know, exorcisms? What about evil spirits? And the thing is that is so rare, David. Like, I'm going to tell you something. You know, out of all of the years I've been doing this, and it's been, oh my God, it's been close to 12 years I've been doing this publicly. You know, through all of these years that I've been doing this, you know, I've been to haunted places. Nobody has ever thrown me down the stairs or bit me or scratched me or did anything like that. And what the spirit world tells me is that there are only a few negative souls out there. You know, for every 1,000 souls, there might be, you know, one negative one. Just like here in this world, we can't escape negative people. You know, there are negative people here in this world, but it's just a small percentage of the people that are around us. So the only time that anybody here on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever you're tuning in from, you know, the only time that you'll run into a negative soul is if you go looking for them. If you're a paranormal ghost hunter, if you go into those abandoned buildings. And why abandoned buildings? Because negative souls, negative spirits don't like to be around people. They're not going to be where you are right now, David, with the sunshine and people walking behind you and people have cocktails. Because there's too much. So negative spirits always go places alone. They want to be by themselves because negativity can only be with negativity. So that's the reason why you hear of souls, you know, haunting abandoned hospitals, haunting abandoned houses, haunting abandoned, you know, woods, because they always find a place where they can go by themselves.
So, you know, when you know you have this capability, now there's all these, and, you know, I do a lot of business coaching, executive coaching, and I've had mediums and psychics that come to me because they have this great power, but they have no way to monetize it. They really don't know how to build a community. And even the ones that know they have extraordinary power, they don't charge enough. You know, it's amazing. They have life-changing conversations. You know, my wife utilizes a medium all the time and talks to her father who's passed, and then my dad interrupts and he has something to say, and he's always hanging out at my house according to her medium, you know. She's concerned what he's watching while he's at my house. But how did you learn to build a brand and then charge people with value of what you do confidently? Because I think it's a huge concern for the business itself of being a medium or a psychic to help people. It's just like a doctor.
Well, I don't really see it as a business because I gotta be honest with you. I started this charging $5 and $10, you know, for readings and not making any money. You know, my goal wasn't to make money with this. And, you know, I never thought, ever thought that this would be my full-time job ever in a million years. You know, I started my career as an employee working for the World Trade Center in Boston, where I worked for the Security Operations Department. And then when I went to see a medium myself, it changed my life. It showed me that, you know, I had to get out there with these messages and help people connect with their loved ones. So I did it for close friends and family members. And then they asked, you know, Matt, can you read my friends? Can you read my friend's mother? And then, you know, people were like, oh, I want to pay you. You know, how much do I give them? Like, I don't know, $5, $10. So it started that way. And then all of a sudden, you know, I feel like heaven led me on this way. You know, there was no business strategy. There was no sitting down and developing a business plan or a marketing plan. You know, in my world, I feel like heaven led me on this journey. Like I said, I had to leave my full-time job as a medium to do this full-time. And, you know, if it wasn't for the opportunity that I got, people that, you know, kind of lifted me up, I wouldn't be here right now. So I think that my strategy, or, you know, what really helped me in the world was really word of mouth. And I think that people want to rush into this and they want to and formulate a strategy. But really, if you're on a divine path and you're meant to be doing a certain work or a certain job, those opportunities will find you. That's what I believe anyway. Like even with my TV show, I didn't go looking for a TV show. People came to me and said, we want to do a show about you. When it went down to the book, Simon and Schuster, approached me. So it was something where, I feel like that I believe bigly. I believe in manifesting, and I believe that in big thinking, positive thinking, which I know you do as well. And I believe that when you send that energy up into the universe, heaven formulates a plan.
Oh, you're awesome. I apologize about the background sound. So this is so interesting to me. I have another question. So do you use the power for yourself? So do you use the power for yourself? So you talk to your loved ones all the time?
I don't talk to my loved ones all the time because you know what? They don't want to talk to me, David.
Oh, so it's like real life. It's like real life.
Talk.
It's like real life.
Yeah, it's true. You remember that when loved ones in spirit come through, they only come through if there's a message, something they have to tell you about, something big that's coming on in your life. So, I talk to other people's loved ones more than I talk to my own. But I do use this ability for myself. And just like you said, there's a lot of people in business who use their intuitive abilities and their psychic abilities. I mean, I wouldn't be a medium if I didn't use it for myself. And when I say use it for myself, it doesn't mean I go to the casino and, I stop picking the different machines. I'm the last person you want to follow around at the casino. But what I do is that when there's a business contract that comes across my desk, I always use my intuition. I always run it by that psychic filter to see, is this going to be a good decision, a bad decision? Should I buy this car? Is this house going to be a place that I'm happy in? Is it a place that I'm going to be a long time? So I always call upon my intuition, and I always call upon my psychic in any decision that I make. And what's really cool about that, David, is that, and this goes for everybody who's watching right now, is that your intuition will not steer you wrong. But many times it goes against your thoughts, where your thoughts might say, oh, I'm not good enough to do that job. I'm never going to, if I apply, I'm never going to get it. If I, want to start my own business, it's never going to work out for me. But your intuition is on the inside saying, go for it, go for it, go for it. And that's that feeling that you got to trust.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And do you get in that intuition, can you get warnings from your family? Like people get any type of warning, like you should do this, you shouldn't do this, or anything like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I was working at the World Trade Center in Boston. There was one day, I loved my job. I loved being an EMT. It was very hard for me to move over into the psychic medium space because I loved my job so much. But it was a calling that I had to do. And, when I was an EMT, they asked me now, will you do a detail over at the finish line at the Boston Marathon? And I said, yeah, of course, we'll go down and do it. I couldn't wait to do it. I'd never been to the Boston Marathon before. I'd never been a part of that before. I couldn't wait to go and to do that and to experience it and to, add it to my profile that, I get to be there and be a part of it. And then what ended up happening is that day, all of a sudden, I just felt this feeling like I couldn't go. I felt sick. I felt this gut feeling. I literally couldn't pinpoint it, but something was telling me, don't go, don't go. And I was the person that went to work every single day. Like I said, I love my job. And the fact that I got to go to the Boston Marathon, that was like a big deal. So I was like, why is this happening? And I was getting ready in the morning. I was finding everything that I possibly could because I really wanted to go. And the more that I, took steps to get ready, the more that this feeling intensified that I couldn't go, and then I didn't go. And come to find out, the Boston Marathon bombings happened. And I would have been at the finish line. I would have been hurt or maybe even died. And I talk about that in my book because, it's so important to trust those gut feelings. How many people here on Instagram Live have had that experience where, they hear to take one step at a time when they're going up the stairs, and they don't, and they rush up the stairs and they fall. And they're like, I should have listened, I should have known that. That's your intuition, and it doesn't just come from inside of you. There's people actually sending you this spirit guides.
Wow. And last question. So when we hear ourselves, this intuition, do you go over in your book when having calls how to evaluate it? Because most people, they think something, but then their conscious or their ego says, oh, no. And they think they have the fear of missing out, I think, is the problem. Like I'm supposed to go to the Boston Marathon, but, you trust your intuition so you don't go. Most people would say, no, 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 no. And you have the fear of missing out. I don't want to miss it. And meanwhile, end up in situations they don't want to be in.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the reason why I wrote the book, is really to bring people on their own spiritual journey, to, discover their own gift. Because people ask me all the time, David, do you do psychic medium training? Do you train mediums? And no, I don't, because I can't train somebody to see dead people. And because we're all different, our abilities are all different. So the reason why I wrote this book was to share my own journey, how I learned about my gifts, because I didn't go to school. There was no Hogwarts or, school of psychics and mediums. Everything that I've learned about my own gift, I've learned from using it. I've learned from the conversations with spirit, and I've learned from all the information that I've absorbed over the years through communicating with the other side. So I wrote this to really share with people how I got to where I am today, and encourage people how they can push past the roadblocks in their life, how they can push past negativity, trust that intuition, and find their own calling. And I think that that's the reason why it became a bestseller, and that's why people are loving it.
Oh, man, I love it. I can't wait to get you on my podcast in a studio with no background sound. So I thank you for your patience with me, because I am my wife's going crazy. I'm going crazy. This is amazing stuff. So where can people, do you still do readings, by the way?
So I'm booked out 2 years for private readings.
That's it?
But, yeah, I know. And listen, it's crazy because I feel like the list gets longer every day. But so I'm booked out 2 years for private readings. But what's so amazing is that during COVID-19, we've taken my live events and we've put them online. And anyone can attend an online group reading. So so many people have seen me give readings on the Kelly Clarkson Show, on The Doctors, on The Real Housewives, on my own reality TV show, where now you can go and you can join me. And it's only $19, David. You can join me with your whole family. You only need one ticket. Your whole family can attend as long as you're using the same device, and come and be part of an online group reading. So we're booked out right now. April is sold out. May is sold out. But I do have June 10th available, and we're really looking forward to it. It's amazing because people attend from all over the country, and really sometimes even from around the world.
I bet. Well, Matt, I'm just going to tell you this, my friend. You need some Dave Meltzer business coaching, because you're not charging enough. You're providing too much value to not charge more, but that's just a little intuition that I have from the business source that I'm connected to. So I am such a big fan. I appreciate you so much. I really would love to have you on my podcast as well. I know everybody loved this, and I thank everyone for their patience with the sound, but I caught everything there. I learned so much, all the questions I never had answered before, and I can get even more answered in When Heaven Calls, the book. I'm sure it's available everywhere. Anywhere people should reach out to you directly?
Absolutely. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I love Amazon because they ship next day. I'm an Amazon lover. And then also at Books A Million as well. And it's also available as an audio book as well for those of you who don't like to read like myself.
That's me too. I'll be listening it too on this vacation. So I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you so much. Let's do some more stuff together.
Perfect. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Take care. Meet Matt Fraser. We met him. He's incredible. I'm such a huge, huge fan. He has such great insight on how to live and be happy, right? Empowering others through a different methodology and a different perspective. So I appreciate the intuition, the meditative views of how he connects and deciphers. Not everyone gets the same downloads. Not everyone gets the same information. Incredible. And Colleen wants to listen in, everyone. Let me take one quick question, and I got to get going to the $100 million mastermind. Here we go. I'm having trouble reading now. What quotes are resonating with you at the moment? Be a celebrant, not a celebrity. Celebrate others, right? Be a celebrant, not a celebrity. And what I loved about our guest today, Bima, Matt, they're celebrants. They're celebrating others, elevating others, helping others, providing value to others. And although you may consider them celebrities, influencers, TV stars, whatever you want to call them, be a celebrant, not a celebrity. I appreciate all my great guests. I appreciate all of you for the great questions. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Download the playbook. Listen to these guests. It's on every platform as well. Buy When Heaven Calls or listen to it, whatever. I appreciate all of you. Training starts in about 2.5 hours, ferocious Buddha training today. So join me, David at dmeltzer.com. Free books, guides, exercises, free training, David at dmeltzer.com. Here I am telling Matt he doesn't charge enough, and I just do it for free. That makes me, Dave Meltzer, the hypocrite once again. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Most importantly, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. I'll see you in a couple hours. Thanks.